Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go over the one-day trade and multiple swing trades that we're on at the moment. All the swings are fantastic. Even the losing swings are just really nice and clean. So we're going to go through Tour first. You can see that daily chart. It kind of gapped down today and then rallied. There was this awkward moment where there was a high volume, really high volume. I mean, that's after open, right? I got a short somewhere as it sort of bounced after the candle. I was like, oh, okay, I'll get a little bit short. And it kept adding on. I think it was like 226 average as it sort of kept breaking highs. And I was like, oh, fuck. Now I'm trapped in this dog shit thing without liquidity to hit out on very much. So I was expecting at this point in time that it would get above, fake out above previous closing price. And it did by, fucking heaps. Like that's a 12-cent move right there. That's a 12-cent move on a $2 stock, which is huge. It's actually pretty significant. So I was shitting myself a little bit as I saw this at the highs, but it did thankfully come off. Scaled some out. Just cut. Of course, I didn't get everything out in time. Yeah, that happened, and I had to cut out almost immediately after that. And it just turned into a shit day. Look, it did have news today, but it wasn't anything too exciting, and it just ended up trading like shit today. And it's my mistake for touching this in the first place, because the news, I don't think, justified trading this, and it was just ultimately my mistake. I think I didn't really have much else on, so I was trying to force something, so classic. Let's take a look at the first swing trade that didn't work. And this one, I really like everything about this stock in terms of just using it as an example. I think it's just really good for swing trading, really good lesson in those people looking at swings to understand the sort of complexity of what's actually happening on this chart. I think it's really good. So obviously had a big sell down, right? It's basically lost 50%. Yeah, 46%. It had an opportunity here. It was setting up for higher highs, high lows, higher highs again, and holding the higher highs, the previous higher highs, right? So what was really cool was that we had a lot of defense in this area, which I was anticipating it would be support, and of course it held. A couple of wicks down, whatever. And then it had this high volume day. Now this should have been my signal, right? Once this green day didn't hold. The day after, realistically, I probably should have cut it. Like at the end of the day. It didn't save me that much money at the end of the day. Like it really wasn't that big of a deal. We were looking at a 750 stop and it just closed above 750. We were talking about this in yesterday's video. The second that this stock has any red, cut. And it opened lower, it opened at 225.48, so 2 cents lower than what our stop loss target was. So perfect. We lost about 75 cents on this stock, which is, for a $24 stock, 75 cents is peanuts. Absolute peanuts. So something like this down to here, whatever, lost 2.9%. Clear. And we were chasing much, much loftier highs than 2.3%. Probably maybe a third of this move. Somewhere around maybe here. So, our risk to reward, what we were targeting was substantially more than what we lost. And I think that was perfectly justified. So this is one of those losses that I'm really happy about. it. Everything went perfect. The chart setup was there. The support was there. The only thing that could have made this better was probably shorting instead of just closing the position, but flipping it. But, I'll let that slide. I'm not a fan of short swings anywhere near as much as long swings. I try to avoid holding short swings. I'm not sure why, but it's just a habit, I guess. Spent so many years going long that I'd just rather hold it long. And of course, overnight fees and stuff like that for shorting. So yeah, I'm really happy. Everything about this is perfect. The risk management, buying at the correct level, selling at the correct level, and then watching it puke immediately after. Everything here is very, very textbook when you look at it step by step. When you look at each candle step by step, analyze it, what went wrong, what could have been done better, and it was just very, very clean. So I'm very happy with that one. SFR is the next one. This one got a little bit too close for comfort. We talked about it the other day that I was watching this one in real time at 1750. We were planning on a stop below 1750. It went a couple of ticks below, but it wasn't that big a deal. And then it rallied. It's so strong at the moment. So I think I talked about how I got two different parcels. I got a swing that I've been adding on. So starter, I think I got a starter at 1850, added on a lot more at 18 and a lot more at 1750. And of course I got an overnight parcel to hold on this as well. So we talked about it in our last video, this move here, 1750 to overnight, closing it out in the first two candles. And then I missed out this one for an overnighter again because it was setting up really nicely. But it is what it is. The day trade parcel's going, the swing trade parcel's doing really well. We got the copper futures. Sorry, that's not copper futures. Copper futures are looking clean, just really nice at the moment. And we got CopX and this, this all lined up. You got your support here and the support on the copper futures. They all kind of just married up a little bit. And not so much on SFR. SFR probably moved a little bit lower than I'd like at that 1750, but that's fine. We're anticipating that this might occur. And it's just really strong at the moment. So SFR, the expectation for me and what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it day by day. Right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I'm going to chase this to $20 or $21.26. Trump can say something and I'll have to hit out on Monday morning for all I know, right? It's like, I can't tell you guys what I'm going to do. Just the entry is fantastic. The risk management is going to be very clear. At this point in time, I wouldn't expect it to go back inside a range of this candle. Wouldn't surprise me if it did something like this. Maybe popped an extra day on Monday, come back down, retest this $18.50 or $18 level. Perfectly reasonable for something like that to happen. I don't expect it to just go V-shape, right? So this is going to be a multi-day hold, probably even multi-week potentially. Totally depends on what happens, but it's really nice at the moment. We have EOS that we talked about. Oh my god, this makes me sick. You guys heard all about my rant of missing the auction on this one, and what happens when there's a fake out below range that gets back into range. What did I tell you guys in my last video yesterday? Fucking monster. So I left a bid pre-market, but I did not get anywhere near filled. I was not watching this pre-market, mind you. I was hoping somewhere around the $8 level. Didn't even get fucking close. Opened up at 8.20, wicked down to 8.11, 8.10, and I wasn't watching. I was too busy in the morning. Just watching the open session for the actual day trade stocks. I wasn't planning on day trading this, but if I got filled, I got filled, and if I didn't, then I'm shit out of luck because this was really fucking good. Really good. That's a 13% day, I believe. It closed at plus 10%, but it was 13%, almost 14% for the day, which is just incredible. So yeah, again, real basic charting, real basic technicals, fake out to recovery, and the subsequent rally is just clean as fuck. And you've heard me talk about it, right? Beautiful. What else we got? ELD. We picked up ELD. Now this one I'm not as excited about as all the other trades like CAR, SFR, and EOS. This is probably at the bottom of the list of the four, but I still think it's good enough that I've taken it. So first things first is the support level at $5.50. Yes, it wicked down on Newsday. There's no surprise that on Newsday support levels don't hold. Wicked down by 13 cents. We're going to take a look at the hourly chart on this first. And I'll get rid of the auction prices. And, there's a pivot there, maybe a couple of ticks higher for the proper pivot, if you will. So that's what it looked like. Sets a low, sets a higher low. There's a high. It's now broken through and is setting a higher high. I'll bring this up on, let's say, the 1 minute chart, because that's what I was looking at it on. So it was holding this level, this pivot that I was talking about. So that pivot was holding, grinding since midday. Not even midday, 11:30. All day it's been going sideways. And then this pop happened. Oop. around here. Volumes kicked in. I bought in 584. Perfect. Yeah, I'm buying the highs. I'm not afraid of buying the highs. Are you? You fucking pussy. That's your fucking problem. Me, I'm buying highs on a Friday at 2 p.m. Fuck yeah. You know who's still in the office putting in these kinds of volumes on a stock like ELD? Yeah, not retailers like you and me, that's for fucking sure. So I am not concerned about a fake out on a non-catalyst day, on a non-catalyst news day, I should say, at 2 p.m. on a Friday. Because only serious people are buying in volumes on a 2 p.m. at Friday on a stock like ELD. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't people like you and me. It's not day traders that are buying this shit. So it was good to watch this. Popped, went to 596, pulled back a little bit. Perfectly fine. Now, I don't pull out the fibs much, but it did close at 720 on this day. And look, it's reasonable for me to target 38.2, which lines up with $6. Expect resistance at $6. What happens at 6? There's two options. If it gets to $6, right? Who knows? Something happens overseas, something with Trump. Look, I can't predict what Monday happens, but assuming nothing particularly exciting happens on Monday, I would expect a rally to 6, and two things can occur. One, it breaks through, fucks around, and gets to sort of this 50% level. Second scenario is it pulls back, retests around 580 for another leg up. Higher low, higher high, and then just goes for the next leg up. Does it go to 650, 628? I don't fucking know. And I don't care. I'll watch the price action, I'll manage the risk, and that's more important than price targets and profit, mind you. On a stock like this, I'm more interested in managing the trade than top picking. Top picking is so fucking out of the equation for this that it doesn't even matter. So some of you might be confused by that. Well, what do you mean, Dimo? Don't you like profits? Well, no, because yes, but the most important aspect is managing the risk. So risk is managed by buying into volumes, right? Where's the stop loss? Probably going to be around 573, 570 from where I bought. Now that it's broken to the upside, perfect. That's that 570-ish is still going to be my stop now. I've defined my risk that I'm going to take, and I've defined my targets for where I expect it to resist. $6, round number, perfect. No surprises. Can it pop and go straight to 650? Yeah, unlikely. Unless it has a catalyst news event, it's pretty unlikely. So now I've defined my risk. So what happens? It comes back. What's my plan? Well, I bought at 584. I will take off a little bit at $6 or maybe $5.99 or something like that, maybe 30% off. Re-add it if it comes back to retest this level. Add that back on. Now if I get stopped out, I'm in profit still. Then we have secondary price targets. As it swings back up, as it starts the momentum, we can add on. So not only do I have the add-on here, right? Not only did I bring back my 30%, I'm now adding on here on the swing back up. So that's the play. Now I'll have a bigger size and we can follow through on momentum, and I probably won't be buying any higher than here. And then take profits. Take a little bit out, look for targets on the hourly chart or something like that, on the daily. Okay, there's a pivot. It's going to be where? 650. Of course it's going to be near a fucking round number. That lines up with the 61.8. Now, I'm not here to tell you that Fibonacci is the defining feature of this trade. It's more of a supporting feature. So we get rid of it. Nothing changes. $6 is still going to be a round number resistance, right? It's a round number. It's very likely going to be resistance. What happens after $6? $6.50. Oh, would you look at that? What's resistance? $6.50. This one didn't quite make it. $6.55. Fuck you, whatever. But where did it hold here? $5.50. Wow, it's almost like the universe tells us what the fuck the support and resistance is. It's almost magical. So when someone draws a Fibonacci like this, right, it's more of a supporting tool. It's going, the way I'd use it in this scenario, I wouldn't go, I'm taking it to the 38.2, man. No. I would go, it is reasonable to expect a stock that sells down sharp. And in this case, what's the percentage? A stock that sells down 25%. A $1.2 billion company that sells down 25%. It is perfectly reasonable for a bounce target, even if it is a dead cat bounce, even if it does hit it and then puke later, it's perfectly reasonable to get to 38.2. It's a super common bounce, even for a dead cat. So that just happens to line up with $6, which should act as a kind of resistance. And if it smokes that $6, well, shit, that's fucking great. So we'll take it day by day. We'll take it day by day. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to 650 because I don't fucking know what it does on Monday. We'll see. We'll take it as it comes. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Peace.